Welcome to the deep dive. We sort through the noise to get to the core insights. Imagine this picture. A wildfire tearing through a neighborhood, homes lost, firefighters just stretched way too thin. But what if there was a science-backed way for homes to, well, stand alone against the flames, even when help can't get there? Today, we're diving into the hazard mitigation methodology, or HMM. It's a pretty groundbreaking approach for protecting communities from these growing wildland-urban interface fires, or WUI fires.
Yeah, the picture you painted, it's unfortunately very real for a lot of places. WI fires are getting more intense, and the damage, especially to homes, well, it's costing billions. It really impacts the whole community fabric. So the challenge is huge. It's about trying to prevent disaster, not just, react after the fact.
That's a really key point. So our mission today is to unpack this methodology. It comes from NIST, the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and they worked with CL Fire and the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, IBHS, big players. So let's get into the core of HM. What was the driving force? What problem were they really trying to solve with all this research?
Well, HMM wasn't just cooked up overnight. It came out of a 16-month collaboration.
Yeah.
And what makes it solid is that it's built on over a decade of field work, like going out after fires plus tons of lab research. Its main goal is super practical: cut down on structural losses in WUI fires. By making individual homes and their entire lots tougher against embers and direct flames, it's mostly aimed at fixing up existing homes, retrofitting, but the ideas work just as well for new houses too. It gives you a clear path forward, especially when first responders are just overwhelmed.
Okay, I see. So make the house itself stronger, but also the whole property. Does HM get into the fact that fire, well, it doesn't really care about property lines, right?
Exactly. That's fundamental to HMM. It recognizes fire spread is about exposure, not fences or streets. It absolutely takes a community-wide exposure-based view.
Right.
Because a fire starting on one lot can easily jump to the next.
Okay, so thinking about what this means for you, the listener, and your home, HMM seems to have some key solutions. Let's start with ember hardening. Why is that so important no matter where you are in a WUI zone?
Right. Ember hardening is, well, it's critical for absolutely everyone in these areas.
Yeah.
Because embers can fly for miles, literally miles. They're like tiny firebrands landing everywhere. HMM points out 40 specific weak spots on a house. Think roofs, gutters, vents, windows, doors, anything flammable attached.
Yeah.
You've got to address these to stand up to a heavy ember attack. It stops those little sparks turning into a house fire. That's often how homes are lost, actually.
40 spots. Wow, that's quite specific. Okay, so beyond embers, you've got the actual flames. That's fire exposure mitigation. How does HMM suggest dealing with fuels, like stuff on your property?
Yeah, for managing fuels on the parcel itself, HMM uses the 3 R's. Easy to remember. First R, remove. Just get rid of the fuel completely. That's the best option. Like no firewood stacked right against the house.
Okay, remove. Makes sense.
Second R, reduce. If you can't remove it all, just have less of it. Maybe a smaller wood pile or a smaller shed.
Right. Reduce.
And the third R, relocate. Move fuels further away from your house. This works better if you have a bigger lot, obviously. Create that defensible space.
Remove, reduce, relocate. Got it. Seems straightforward. But what if those aren't practical for someone? Maybe a small lot or other constraints? Is there like a plan C?
Yeah, absolutely. If the 3 R's just aren't feasible, then the next step is hardening the structure itself against direct flame contact. This could mean things like replacing your exterior siding with fire-resistant materials. It works, but, it's typically going to be more expensive than just managing the fuels.
And this brings us back to the community idea, doesn't it? It sounds like HMM really highlights this interconnected risk. We think about our own yard, but HMM says it's about exposure. So what my neighbor does or doesn't do impacts my risk. Is that kind of the big shift in thinking here?
Totally. That shed on your neighbor's lot. If it's close to your house, it's your risk too. Or think about wooden fences. They can act like fuses, carrying fire right across property lines. And this idea of fuel agglomeration, just having too much flammable stuff packed close together that can drastically ramp up the fire's intensity, turns a small issue into a huge one.
It's fascinating how the strategy changes with density. You mentioned examples like Coffee Park in Santa Rosa or Mountain Shadows in Colorado Springs, really dense areas. There, it sounds like everyone has to be on board.
Pretty much. In high-density spots, community-wide buy-in, often involving fuel removal, is critical. One ignition can just sweep through. But in moderate density areas, you might get away with more selective hardening or relocating fuels. It can slow things down considerably. Then you have low-density places like the trails in Rancho Bernardo. More space between homes means one ignition might not spread as easily.
So it really underscores the power of neighbors working together, this sort of neighboring idea. It's not just about rules or money, but people actually looking out for each other.
Exactly. That informal mutual aid, that collective responsibility can be a really powerful tool against wildfire risk.
Well, this deep dive really shows that fighting wildfire losses isn't just one thing. It's a mix of science-based hardening and community action, shared responsibility. If you want to dig deeper into all this, the full guide is NIST Technical Note 2205. The title is WUI Structure Parcel Community Fire Hazard Mitigation Methodology. You can find it free online. Just search the title or use the DOI. 10.6028 NACE TN.2205. And definitely check out the Wildland Urban Interface Fire Group section on the NIST website, too. That's www.nist.gov.
Yeah, great resources. So thinking about what this all means for you listening, maybe consider one step you could take, perhaps even talk to a neighbor. Think beyond just your own fence line. It's really about building a more resilient community together. One safer house, one helpful hand at a time.